Welcome back. So much of the testimony today was about memory. What do you remember? When? Details. Details, please. Are you sure? So we wanted to learn more about memory by talking with an expert. We sat down with neurologist with Allina Health, Dr. Jesse Corey. How does time affect memory?
All things over time degrade.
Okay.
And if you look at how memories are first made, they're at a part of the brain on the underside called the hippocampus. And there's a very complex circuitry that involves both motivations, drives, like things like hunger and fear, as well as, what kind of mood you're in, what kind of, is something pleasurable or not. And then that affects how those initial memories are then encrypted.
So it's the loading dock, and from there you decide if you want to put that memory in a golden safe in the back, or do you just want to put it in the trash?
Correct. Over time, our memories are going to be subject to our experiences. And so that doesn't mean that they're less real or more real. It just means that our memories are, as time goes on, very malleable.
Can memories change over time? Meaning we don't remember things accurately?
Absolutely. Actually, one of my favorite stories about this is in Oliver Sacks' book, River of Time. He tells about a memory he had escaping the Battle of Britain, an air raid. And he wrote about this many times in journals, and he finds out later on these were actually his brother's memories because he was too young to recall this. So it's, memories, if you tell yourself something enough times, you very well may remember it.
Can you tell me what trauma, specifically sexual assault, can do on a memory?
Kind of a general term. It's going to cause, whether it's a sexual trauma or physical trauma, very similar chemical reactions in the body. The two big things whenever you have this frightening event, you have that fight or flight response. And this increases a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. And this helps us focus attention. And there's also a hormone called cortisol that's going to increase.
This is why people say time slows down.
Exactly.
Right.
So a person very well, when they're in this traumatic state, may be experiencing things, but their ability to accurately recall this is impaired.
I'm not asking you to talk about Dr. Ford or Judge Kavanaugh, because how would you know?
Yeah.
Could there be a scenario where a sexual assault victim and a sexual assaulter who are claiming, yes, it happened and no, it didn't, could actually take a polygraph and be telling the truth, both of them?
Well, I think, the first thing, the polygraph is only so sensitive and specific. Assuming the polygraph was 100% accurate, could people, based upon how they form memories, have very different recollections of the same event? Very possible.
So in summary there, surprising to me, Dr. Corey says two people can be telling the truth from their memory, but it may not represent what actually happened in reality. Who knew?